She just wanted to meet her mama a little early. Welcome back to my channel, mamas. My name is Kawasie. If you're new here, you might as well just go ahead and subscribe now because you'll love it here. If you're not new, you know it has been some time since we've been together. The last time we talked, I was still pregnant. We do have a special guest here. I don't know if y'all can see her little hand, Halo. Literally, I had her all sleep bundled. She had already ate, and I had her diaper changed. But as soon as I started recording, apparently she wanted to eat some more. But it's okay. That's what this video, or that's what this channel is all about, motherhood. So she's still gonna eat, but we still gonna get this video made. So I do have y'all a little zoomed in so y'all don't see her, but y'all gonna hear her because this little girl, she don't play about her food. But today's video is going to be her birth story. And yeah, so before we get started, I did just want to give a little update about where I've been and why I kind of just went missing on y'all. So Halo, originally her birth was supposed to be vlogged because it was a planned C-section. I was going to take y'all with me and let us experience everything together. But because she came a week earlier than planned, I did not end up vlogging it. When I went to the hospital, I didn't even have my camera, which granted I could have used my phone, but we'll get into all of that. First, I just want to let you guys know, like I said, where I've been. So I had Halo April 12th, and for the first 2 weeks after I came home, my son had impetigo, but it literally took us 2 weeks to figure out that's exactly what it was. I have been back and forth to urgent care and the ER 4 times because originally at Halo's discharge appointment, so once your baby is discharged, they have to have an appointment with their pediatrician just to make sure, you know, they're still growing as they should and everything's going well after they leave the hospital. So I took him in with me to her appointment, and he just had a few bumps on his hands. So the pediatrician had prescribed some antibiotics, some topical antibiotics. But it started getting worse. Originally, they said that it was hands, foot, and mouth when I took him into urgent care. And I'm like, all right. This wasn't our first time with hands, foot, and mouth. So I kind of knew that the way that it was manifesting was not the same as it did previously, which is why it's so important to be your child's biggest advocate. So, you know, I took my baby back. And then at that point, they were saying it could be chickenpox, still getting worse. So when it got to his eyes and his nose, I'm like, no. So we went back and finally did a culture on it. And then, like I said, at the 2-week mark, it had came back that it was actually impetigo, which I was so thankful for because he could get antibiotics and he could start to feel better. Because when it was hands, foot, and mouth, because it's a virus, there's really no medicine that you can give them. You have to let it run its course. So he had to be on those for a full week. So now we're at 3 weeks, and finally, you know, he was not getting any new spots and he wasn't contagious anymore. Because that was another part of just being so overwhelmed is literally I have to keep them apart. So I have my baby who's not feeling good. He has to adjust to a new baby, and he wants me. And then I have a newborn who's breastfed who, you know, constantly needs my attention as well. So just having to keep them two apart was just a lot. Oh my goodness, it was a lot. And then the next week, my children's godfather actually went to be with the Lord. So, and I was 2 days before she turned 1 month. So that first month was literally, it felt so long, so long. And she just turned 2 months, and so it's been a month since their godfather has been in heaven, and it's been a lot. Literally, it's been a lot. But God is still good, and he's given me strength to just continue day by day But that's why I went missing, and I just wanted to make that clear because, you know, I created this channel to be very transparent and to be a safe space for my mamas, and then I kind of just went ghost. So I just wanted to let you guys know everything that I was going through and am still currently going through. But I am back. I am going to be consistent and, you know, just being very transparent with y'all. Just like now, I'm feeding my baby. But yeah, so that's where I have been. Now let's get into her birth stories. As I stated, I originally had plans to vlog it and bring y'all along with me, but unfortunately it just didn't plan out that way. Oh, mama. It just didn't plan out that way. Unfortunately not. So in my previous videos, as you know, I was getting NSTs as well as growth scans. If you haven't watched those two videos, make sure you do. But yeah, so I was getting growth scans, and she went from 30% earlier on, and then I had another scan, which was 6 weeks from that, and she had got up to 60%, which I was so happy about. You know, ecstatic. So my care provider that I seen throughout my pregnancy, she's a midwife, and so she doesn't perform surgeries. And so actually when I went to meet my surgeon, because I couldn't have the same surgeon as before because it goes off of the hospital rounds. So I was going to meet the surgeon who would be performing my C-section this time around. And when she went to measure my stomach, it was measuring too far behind. They give you a range of 2, so you can either be measuring 2 weeks behind or 2 weeks above, and they're not concerned. But if it's anything other than that, then they are. So I was measuring more than 2 weeks behind, so she had put in for a stat ultrasound, and when I went to that ultrasound, I had went from 60% all the way to 20% in her growth percentage. So in a matter of 2 weeks, she had dropped 40%. The tech was saying how because she was still measuring over 10%, which is their area of concern if your baby is measuring less than 10% or more than 90%. So between 10 and 90, that's the normal range. And because she was within the normal range, it was fine. But I'm knowing that my baby just was at 60%, and now y'all telling me she's at 20%. So that's a big jump, especially in 2 weeks, because it took her 6 weeks to grow 30%. And so I know this information, and I'm like, okay. So I met with my actual doctor on a Tuesday, and well, my midwife on a Tuesday, and you know, we had discussed that. I advocated again for myself and for my baby. And I just was telling her, like, I know that it's in the normal range, but 60% to 20%, that's a big jump for only 2 weeks. You know, that's a little concerning to me. So she agreed, and she put in for another stat ultrasound, and that was Wednesday. So Wednesday morning comes, and I'm just so tired. But at this point, I don't have a set time for my ultrasound appointment yet, because she told me, like, she put in for the stat ultrasound, it'll be sometime tomorrow, and that they would call me in the morning. So all morning, you know, I'm just waiting in bed, waiting for the call, and finally I get the call, but they're saying that I need to come in right now, which I was about to get ready for my lash appointment because I had scheduled my maternity pictures for Saturday. So today, which is Wednesday, I had my lash appointment, and then tomorrow I had my nail appointment, and then I had pictures set for Saturday. So when they call me, you know, they're like, I need you to come in right now. This is the only opening that we have, and it's at a different location, one of their sister hospitals. So my hospital that I'm delivering at, they didn't have any openings, so I had to go to the sister location. Originally, my lash appointment, like I said, was at 1. Now they want me to come at 12:45. So my sister was going to watch T3 while I got my lashes done. But now, because I have to go to the hospital and I get my lashes in, I decided to just go ahead and take him to my mom's house because she was closer and I wanted to give me some food. So for my other sister to watch him. And it just so happens that the day that I don't overpack his bag, you know, I'm telling her I'm about to be right back, that I don't come right back. So he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna take him to the park. And I'm like, yes, like that'll be great. Just take him to the park, you know, y'all have fun, and then I'll be right back. Now, mind y'all, her reasoning for me taking him to my mom's house was because she was closer and I wanted to get some food. But after I ended up dropping him off, I decided to just go straight to the hospital because even though I've been to the hospital before, the last time I just went straight to labor and delivery. I never went to the maternal medicine, which is where I was going today for the ultrasound. So I didn't want to be late. So I'm like, you know what? We'll just get food when we leave. And I'm so thankful that I did. So, which we'll get to that. So we get to the appointment and, you know, they get us all checked in. We're in the room and the lady comes in. And at this point, I've had enough ultrasounds to be able to read, you know, their measurements, the percentages, like know what they're looking at. As far as I can read, like I know like what the little abbreviations stand for. Now, I'm not saying I can just look and tell everything they looking at, but when it's the little abbreviations, I know what they stand for. So, just wanted to be clear with that. Because I ain't about to sit up here and have y'all acting like I know how to, you know, do ultrasound. So she starts the ultrasound and automatically my percentage is low. Like they're even lower than the 20%. So the measurements are like 13%, some are 8%, some are 9%. But at that point, I'm like, okay, that's under 10%. So, you know, this is all I'm keeping to myself. And when they get to her measuring her stomach, it's really, really small. I think that percentage was like 6% or so, 7%, 6% or 7%. So at that point, she flips the little chair over. You know, like your feet are down, your head is up. So she flipped my head down and had my feet all the way up in the air, which I didn't even know that the chair was gonna go that low, like have my head that low. But it is. So at this point, she's like making me turn and go on each hip. She's moving me all around. I'm already got my head to the floor. And so she sits me back up finally. And my boyfriend, he's always asking, like, every time we go, like, does everything look okay? Or, you know, did you see everything you needed to see? So he's asking, like, how does her measurements look? Because that's the whole point. You know, that's the whole reason we're here. And so she's like, well, let me go ahead and let the doctor look at these. And then she'll go ahead and come back in the room and talk to you. So, you know, I'm already understanding that her percentages has dropped even from the 20%, which was just on Friday, and today is Wednesday. So within these few days, she's already less than what she was measuring then. So when they leave out, you know, I'm telling him what I just have seen. So I'm like, you know, baby, she done dropped some more. Like some of her measurements were 6%. Some was 8, 9. The highest measurement percentage that I even seen was 13%. So he's like, so what does that mean? So while he's asking me what that means, literally the doctor comes in. She's like, hi, you know, I'm Dr. So-and-so, and I just want to let you know your baby did not move at all during this ultrasound. Like, did you feel your baby move? And I'm like, well, you know, no, I didn't feel her. But it's not abnormal for me not to feel my baby smooth because, one, I have anterior placentas, and then, you know, I'm already getting the NSTs due to low fetal movement. So I'm like, no, I haven't. And at that point, the wheelchair is rolling up. And she's like, I don't want to alarm you, but I do need you to get in the wheelchair. We're going to roll you straight to labor and delivery. I do need to get your baby out of you. So I'm like, okay, like I understand. I just have seen clearly her percentages are low. So it's okay. So at this point, I'm in the chair. We're rolling down. And she's like, your baby literally scored a 2 out of 10 on her biophysical profile. And the only reason that she scored anything was because she still has a heartbeat. You know, I'm already praying. Of course, he's on the phone with my mom telling her everything that's happening. He's so confused about how we're even going to labor and delivery because we're not even at our hospital, that we plan to deliver at. And I'm just trying to keep him calm, let him know, like, it's okay. Like, she has to come out. It's safer for her to come out of me. It's all right. Like, she's 38 weeks. She'll be okay. At the same time, I'm asking them, like, okay, you're telling me my baby only scored a 2. So when she comes out, will she be able to breathe on her own? Like, is she okay? Which they couldn't really tell me. They're just like, we don't really know. It's just best if we get her out of you. The biophysical profile, it measures your baby's heart rate, muscle tone, movement, breathing, and the amount of amniotic fluid of your baby. So out of all of that, you're telling me I only got points because my baby still has a heartbeat. Like, oh Lord. Okay, so literally when I say that I could have picked up my phone, that was the reason that I didn't, just because I really had to just be sane in the moment, speak to God. Also, I'm trying to keep my baby calm because she feels everything I feel. So I have him text our family. That way we can have our prayer warriors praying. And this is why I'm so, so thankful that I didn't eat. Because if I would have ate, they would have had to put me to sleep and I would not have been able to be up for my baby. To have her, and I wouldn't, have that memory or that experience, and that would just be so devastating to me. Of course, if that's what had to be done, I would have lived with that, and I would have known that my baby had to come out of me, and I didn't have time to wait for any food to digest or anything of that nature. I would have definitely lived with that and known that that was what was safest for my baby. But I'm so, so, so thankful that I did not eat and that I waited, because they didn't have to put me to sleep. So I was able to just get the spinal and not get put under general anesthesia. And so I'm so thankful for that. They did have to check my blood because, again, if you watch my previous videos, you know that I have low platelets. And so they had to check to make sure that I was even stable enough to get the spinal. The first draw that they did, they had to throw out. So they actually had to come back and draw labs again, which I was so bruised. Like my arms, because again, low platelets, it takes longer for, like, if you get cut, for your bleeding to stop, or in this case, me getting my blood drawn, it takes longer for that spot to heal. So I had bruises on my arm literally weeks. Like my arm was bruised for weeks. So they took my blood, and at this point he's getting suited up. I'm getting my gown on. We took like a few little pictures just for memory's sake. So they wheeled me down to the ER, and then inside of there, that's where I got my spinal. So, which was different because last time when I got to the ER, I already had my epidural and I already was like in my bed. So this time when they wheeled me down, I wasn't in a bed. I was still in a wheelchair. So I sat on the side of the operating table, and then they gave me my spinal. Of course, they helped assist me back down on the actual operating table, and then, heard them count out all the materials and the tools. Of course, have to tell them your name, and your birth date, and all your information, just to make sure that you're the correct person who's about to get cut open. Last time I had a female surgeon and like a male head assistant. This time I had both a male surgeon and a male assistant, and I definitely could feel the difference because, baby, when they was moving me and like stitching me back up, getting her out, I definitely could feel the difference between a man and a woman. But I was so happy because he was able to remove my keloid. So I had a huge keloid from my previous surgery. And it's so crazy because I don't even keloid. I know it runs in my family because my mom and my dad do, but I don't keloid. But on that C-section scar, it was crazy. It was literally crazy. Even the nurse, she was like, yeah, this is the most prominent scar that I've seen from a C-section. Like, this is the most prominent keloid that I've seen. And I'm like, yes, this is crazy. But I was so happy that he was able to remove it. And so far, so good. So like I said, we're at 8 weeks, 2 months, and it's looking good. It's pretty seamless, and I'm so happy about that. So I'm just praying that it doesn't start to keloid and that there's no issues there. And I've been putting like vitamin E oil on it. That way I can just get the scar to be really flat and hopefully look even more faint. So yeah, after that, of course, I have my oxygen on. This time, I'm so thankful that I did not have to throw up. Last time on the operating table, why literally I was cut open. Unfortunately, I was throwing up, so I was just so grateful not to have to deal with that. And my boyfriend was there with me the whole time, you know, helping me, talking me through it, letting me know like I'm doing okay. I'm just honing in on she's about to be here, she's about to be here. Like I said in my previous video talking about my son, anytime you're in the operating room, it's very loud. You feel a lot of pressure. That you hear all the machines. So I definitely just recommend to my mamas who are getting a C-section, or if you find yourself getting a C-section, definitely just try to pick something to hone in on and kind of just let everything fall to the back, like the machines and them talking and you seeing the bright lights. Let all of that fall to the back of your mind and just focus in on one thing and let that take over your mind. For me, it's just knowing that my baby is about to be here, so I just hone in on that. And so finally she was coming out and I hear her little cries and, you know, I'm just like, okay, my baby is here. We did it. We made it. And they take her over to the warming bed and I don't hear her anymore. And with my previous C-section, as soon as they took my son to the warmer, they were encouraging his dad to come over, you know, take pictures. And with her, they weren't. And I'm like, you know, go over there, go over there. I always tell him, go with the baby, don't worry about me. Make sure my babies are okay. So they're like, oh, Dad, well, you know, we're going to have you just stay over here for a second. And so I'm like, is she okay? And they're like, yeah, she's fine. She's fine. But they're not telling me what's going on or why he can't go over there. And like I said, I don't hear her anymore. So again, I'm like, why can't he not go over there? What's going on? And then at that point, they tell me like, she's okay. She just needs a little help breathing. So Halo had actually stopped breathing after she came out. And for about 5 minutes, they were over there. They had to use the bag on her and resuscitate her to start her breathing again. Of course, as soon as I stop hearing her, I'm automatically praying. But, you know, I'm hearing them call for respiratory, and, you know, the nurse is talking to me. She's trying to keep me calm but not tell me too much. And finally, I hear them say like, okay, she's getting pink. She's finally getting some color. And they're like, okay, Dad, we're almost ready for you. So they get her all together. He's able to go over there. So when he gets to her, they do still have her on oxygen, but they're lowering it down. And so they stay there while I get my staples and get sewn up, which is so crazy to hear yourself get stapled. Like, they finally bring her over to me and I could really finally see her, because I did request to have the clear drape, which I'm so thankful that they did honor my request. But it was just so hard to see her when they first had got her out of me, because they had took her away so quick. So I really didn't get to see her. So finally she came over and they placed her on me, and she didn't have to go to NICU or anything like that. She hasn't had any issues with her breathing since then. And I'm just so thankful that God is just always covering me and my babies, and just in the midst of anyone who touches us or who is operating on us. So I'm just so thankful, very thankful for my surgeon, for the nurses, for everyone who played a part in making sure that we had a safe delivery. So after our couple hours of on the recovery floor, they got us a room and we went up there, and we were actually only in the hospital for 2 days, which is amazing compared to my son. I was in the hospital for a full week. And during those 2 days, I was just soaking in all the time of just having a healthy new baby girl. And I was missing my son so much. I didn't allow him to come to the hospital to see me, because if he would have seen me, he wouldn't have left. So, and I didn't want to make it worse. Like, he had to come see mommy and then he wasn't able to stay. So I was missing him so much, but I just allowed him to stay with my mom, and also his goddad during that time. Oh, Lord, can't get emotional. But I'm glad that they got to have that time before he went to heaven. But yeah. Oh, and I forgot to say that she ended up being 6 pounds 6 ounces, which is not like too much smaller than your average baby. But I did have intrauterine growth restriction, which did not allow her to continue growing, which is why her percentage dropped so much. So she came at 38 weeks exact. I was due to have my planned C-section on the 19th, and she came on the 12th. She just wanted to meet her mama a little early. So that is the story of Halo Lee. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for our next video. Do not forget to subscribe and like, share if you feel led to, and I will see you in the next one.